Today on Riffs, Beards, and Gear, I attempt to recreate the guitar tone on White Zombie's Astro Creep 2000. Growing up in the 90s, I was always filled with just amazing guitar tones and guitar heroes with which to look up to. Well, one of those unsung heroes, in my opinion, is Jay Yuenger from White Zombie. Jay was an extremely creative guitarist, and he wasn't the shred god that a lot of other guitar players were. Instead, he used creative songwriting and creative tones to shape his sonic palette, and I always loved the White Zombie album Astro Creep 2000. So I thought I would try to recreate his rhythm guitar tone for that album. Now, Jay actually posted about his album setup on his own website, jayuenger.com, and also detailed his live setup, and his album tones were created with 4 half stacks: a Randall Century 200 with the matching Randall 412 with the Jaguar speakers, another Randall Century 200 with a Mesa Boogie 412, a Mesa Boogie triple rectifier with a Mesa Boogie 412, and lastly, a Marshall 8000 series valve state head with a Mesa Boogie 412. And each cabinet had an SM57 and a 421 Sennheiser microphone on it, and they would simply move faders and blend amps as they saw fit from song to song. Well, the album tone that I think of when I think of Jay and White Zombie is Electric Head Part 1, the opening track on Astro Creep 2000. So that's what I'll primarily be aiming for with this tone capture. Now, I think it should also be noted that Jay's live tone was a pair of triple rectifier, 2-channel triple rectifiers, and 2 Randall Century 200s with a rack of MXR EQs in the loop. He started initially using Randalls when White Zombie toured with Pantera on the Vulgar Display of Power album cycle, and he just loved the tone and he loved blending it with the triple rectifier. So I'm going to get as close as I can to Jay's tone using what I have. So the 2 amps that I will be using are a 1993 Mesa Boogie dual rectifier, 2-channel, and an original Randall Century 200 Mark II amplifier, the actual model that Jay used in White Zombie. These are very, very rare, and I just happen to own one, and mixing these two together, really, I mean, we bring up the faders after doing a couple of passes of each of these amps and blending them for a little bit, and you get the White Zombie tone. And I would like to note that the Astro Creep 2000 tone is heavy on the Randall Century. That real nice, unique mid-range, that mid-range quack, as I like to call it, that's the Randall. I found that pretty interesting. The Mesa Boogie is just kind of blended underneath to kind of reinforce the low end a little bit, because it does bring a lot of low end and a lot of thickness. But the mid-range attack and the high end, that's all Randall Century. It's pretty interesting. And I should also note that I am running an MXR 10-band EQ in the loop of the Randall, and I have it dialed and fine-tuned a little bit using the photo that is on Jay's website. Oh, one last thing before I forget, I am in C sharp standard, not drop C sharp for the guitar tuning. I'm standard tuned down 1.5 steps per Jay's note on his website. And also, I don't generally try to replicate the mix per se for any of these songs. However, I would like to note for this instance, I am using the John Tempesta signature drum kit from the Metal Machine pack from Tune Track. So this is John's own drums sampled with John's signature snare as well. Just for authenticity, I thought I would note that. Nerdy, I know. Let's get to the song. All right, so now let's take a look at how I shaped the White Zombie sound, as it were. So I have, let's see, this would be 8 guitar tracks. So I have a left and right DI, that's right here, left, right. And then I have 2 Rode Procasters on my Coffee Cabs Custom 212 that you guys have seen before, Vintage 30, and a Creamback. So I have 2 mics on the cab, and that's 2 mics for left and right for both amps for a total of 8 tracks. So this is the left for the Randall, this is the right for the Randall, this is the left for the Mesa, and the right for the Mesa. Now you can see down here, these are the Mesa tracks. Look at these faders, minus 12 dB. The Randall is at minus 1.5 on the Vintage 30s, and the Creambacks are at Unity. So the Randall is doing most of the heavy lifting for the guitar tone here, okay? So here's how it sounds with the whole mix. Okay, I turned off all the plugins, as you heard and saw. Okay, so this is just the straight guitar tone with both amps. Okay, it needs a lot of work. And first, I'm coming in with Soothe. And I'm just kind of taking out some of the nastiness that is resulting in stacking multiple amps. There's frequency overlap, etc., etc. So it's not doing a ton, okay? So what's doing a lot though is FabFilter Q3. I'm doing a ton of stuff in here. I'm trimming the top end, I'm lopping off a huge amount of the top end, and lopping off a huge amount of the low end. So I'm gonna just start with this off. Okay, you can hear it cleans up significantly. I took a lot of time to notch really wild frequencies. I'm boosting the upper mids and top end significantly after chopping it all off, okay? And I'm also really worried about the low mids, okay? Multiple amps, multiple speakers, multiple microphones, a lot stacking up. So I'm cleaning it up there. Next, we have the Pultec. Now I'm gonna switch this off and you're gonna see me switch it in. What I'm doing is I am lopping off the top end even more with the attenuation, and then I'm boosting it, I'm giving it back, but it's much smoother and less fizzy and crunchy, okay? Okay, so that's the Pultec. Now, I need some more top end, but I know I'm gonna get that when I compress. So I'm coming in with a distressor, turn it on, I'm gonna turn it off here, and I'm gonna play the track, and then I'm gonna turn it on. And then, finally, you guessed it, I'm coming in with the Oxide Tape Machine, my favorite. Here, turn this off, and you're gonna hear me put it in, and it's gonna make a world of difference. And that is the guitar tone from White Zombie's Astro Creep 2000, a favorite album of mine. This was a lot of fun to do. I think I ballparked it. I definitely don't have, you know, all of the necessary layers and the quad tracked chugs, the tritones in the chorus part, etc., etc. But you know what? The Randall Century definitely is the bulk of that guitar tone, which surprised me. Honestly, I assumed it was more of the rectifier, with a little bit of the top end and mid-range from the Century, but it's a lot Century and then some rectifier. So yeah, goes to show we don't always think we know what we know, do we? All the Pokemon links down below in the description. You've been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Wow, another video gone by. Hope it was pretty good. I mean, it's probably pretty good. But if it wasn't, awkward, right?